Alright, this video is about installing cylinders, pistons and piston rings. It's gonna be a long story, and briefly I'll talk about ignition system, oil pan and mesh screen filter. Just a note, I recently got this deep oil pan and screw-in oil filter. So I might be probably installing this oil pan on the Dnepr engine. The ignition module is installed. It's called Soviet. Looks like this. I had to bend these wires to make sure cover sits well. Here I had to use Dremel tool to increase these gaps. You see it's almost at the edge of the gap here, so I couldn't actually adjust my ignition point. That's why I had to increase it a little bit on this side and on this side. You see, but I got it working at this position. There is no any difference between any of Ural ignitions and this one in terms of setting it, so it should be top dead center. So in my case this is a mark, which means advanced, and once we rotate flywheel counterclockwise, we're gonna see, yeah, this would be top dead center, and here you just need to rotate the module clockwise to get the bulb off. So it should be turned on at some point, and once you rotate it turns off, and this moment would be the ignition point. Assembling oil pan, and first need to install oil filter. Before that there is a oil receiver which screws in all the way down, in my case at least, and it gets fixed by this nut. So this is the oil filter, which goes here and gets secured by a bolt over here. Used a hose clamp to close all the gaps between net and the lower part. It's secured, stays well. Okay, now I'm going to put the oil pan back. Make sure oil filter is not touching. Alright, oil pan is done. I used new bolts, class 8.8. The old ones are bad quality. They are often getting broken inside once you try to torque to spec. So these are Dnepr cylinders. I asked cylinder shop to take off 1 millimeter out on this side. So the total length right now is 107.6 millimeter, and same on the other one. So it's needed to increase compression ratio for high octane gasoline. Also they took 1 mm off from this edge. Yeah, so we want to make sure that there is a gap. You see it's here between cylinder and the head. Make sure that head is not touching cylinder. Cleaning pistons. Need to remove all the stuff. These are piston rings, already cleaned. There are lots of stuff like this removed. Okay, I have a pair of the original MT-11 pistons. The first repair size, and I was about to use those, but one of them, they both marked as green, whatever it means. So this one is a bit oversized, I cannot fit it in, it just doesn't go. Lower end part is too wide, that's why I cannot use them. This one was okay, this one is good, but the other one need to be, I guess, machined a little bit on this side. I don't know, but anyway, I'm going to use those. These pistons are from MT-1036 model. They have like a dome top. Those are flat top, but they are interchangeable, so it's okay to use this one. Clearance here is 0.004 inch. There were a board for this repair size, 78.18, and again those would work too. Those are 78.15, but there is an issue here. Anyway, right now I'm going to wait to make sure that right and left pistons and rings and pins and stoppers are they have the same weight, so they have to be balanced, as well as the connecting rods. 454-55 gram. So these are rings, and this is the left size, 456. Actually 455. Actually it's pretty much the same. I'm going to keep it as is. Otherwise, to make piston lighter, for example, here I would take off some material from the inside using Dremel machine. So you should measure gap, piston ring gap. In my case it's approximately 0.45 millimeter, maybe a little bit more or less. Each piston ring has it a bit different. One more note, I used a file to smooth outside edges of all of the piston rings, like this, all the way around, and this side as well. I saw this tip online. It's to prevent rings to scrape cylinder walls. It will prolong life of the cylinder. I cannot fit the piston pin inside the piston, so that's why I'll be using a reamer just to widen space, just a little bit. Gosh, it's a lot. Here I've got like very undersized piston pins. So if this one undersized piston pin is getting through like this, it's a hard push, it gets okay. It means that this one, the original one, will be sitting tight here. It won't be loose. So that's what we need here. I have to cut this rubber O-ring to be even with this surface. Okay, now I'm getting the piston pin through the rod. It moves freely. Arrow should be pointed to the front. So now I wiped the surfaces using gasoline or mineral spirit on the case and on the right cylinder right here. Make sure it's clean. Going to put some gasket maker around gasket from both sides. Okay, here we go. It's a bad sign if you cannot slide the cylinder in. I cannot move it. There is a gap here, but there is no gap here. It means lower end bushing is not straight. It looks like this. It needs to be straight, but it looks like this right now. Alright, I removed this connecting rod. This is bushing which I changed, but unfortunately I rimmed it under angle. It's not straight but angled. That's why piston cannot be sitting well in cylinder. I found that it's very hard to make it straight, to rim it straight. I have two spare rods with the original bushings, and I'm going to use this one. Okay, I just changed the rod, installed piston, and now it works. There is even space between left and right side. And now I remove the connecting rod to check off some material here and here, both sides, to make sure that the weight of both connecting rods are equal. So this one, it's left one, weighs 595. I filmed it in previous videos, and this one was more than 600, so now it's 595 as well. Double check piston pin. Okay, it's hard press, no play, and this is right side. And it's a little bit loose. This one is loose. Going to use piston pin from Ural, marked with white mark. This is the biggest size of the pin. Okay, now it's a hard press, no play. Piston is moving. Now let's install stopper rings. I already have gasket here. Make sure it's cleaned. Okay, same here, piston pin is not getting through. I cannot push it. I'm going to rim it a little bit too, like this. Now this arrow should be pointing to the exhaust port of the engine. Okay, cylinders and pistons are done. Next video will be about installing heads.